I'm Miles Morales. But you can call me the Prowler.
In this video, we're going to talk about what we can expect from Prowler Miles in Beyond the Spider-Verse. Based on everything we've seen so far, he's definitely shaping up to be one of the standout characters in the movie. Even though we only got a brief look at him in the previous film, that short appearance gave us a good idea of what his personality is like. On top of that, the information shared at CinemaCon suggests that he's gonna play a very important role in Miles' journey. One of the most interesting things about Prowler Miles is the relationship he's expected to have with our Miles. Instead of becoming an enemy or a full-on villain, it seems much more likely that the two of them will develop a strong brotherly bond. They'll probably end up supporting each other and helping one another through everything that's happening. The idea of Prowler Miles secretly being evil or eventually turning into a villain doesn't really fit with what we've learned about his character so far. That doesn't mean their first meeting is going to go smoothly though. In fact, it would make perfect sense if their first interaction is full of tension. They might misunderstand each other, argue, or even fight before they finally get to know one another. Seeing the two Miles versions face off in an intense fight would be an awesome moment, especially if it eventually leads to them understanding each other and working together. From everything we've heard so far, Prowler Miles also seems like he'll be a really entertaining character. He's definitely more serious than our Miles, but he still has a great sense of humor. It was even mentioned that he'll joke about the way our Miles pronounces Morales, basically teasing his Spanish. He's also expected to make fun of Miles' Spider-Man suit, including the joke about it looking like it's bleeding from the armpit. Moments like these could make their dynamic really fun to watch and help balance out the emotional parts of the story. There's also a good chance we'll see Prowler Miles help our Miles with his suit. Since he has access to all kinds of gadgets and his own Prowler suit looks incredibly advanced, it's easy to imagine him repairing Miles' suit or maybe even helping create a new one. A scene like that would really highlight the growing trust between them and show how much they're willing to support each other. Of course, we don't know if there will actually be enough time for a moment like that, especially since Miles is racing against the clock to save his father. Still, it's a really cool idea to imagine Prowler Miles helping our Miles in that way, and based on everything we've learned so far, it definitely feels like something that could happen. Prowler Miles is more of a vigilante than a traditional superhero in his universe. He's not the typical hero who follows the same rules as Spider-Man, but at the same time, he isn't a villain either. The world of Earth 42 is completely different because it never had a Spider-Man. Without Spider-Man around to protect the city, crime has gotten completely out of control, and the Sinister Six have become the ones who basically run everything. It's a much darker and more dangerous place than the world our Miles comes from. Since there was never a Spider-Man on Earth 42, Prowler Miles ended up teaming up with his uncle Aaron. Together, they try to help people in the only way they know how. Their methods are much rougher than Spider-Man's, and they don't always play by the rules, but their goal is still to protect people and stand up against the criminals who control their city. That's why Prowler Miles fits the role of a vigilante rather than a superhero or a villain. One of the biggest questions going into Beyond the Spider-Verse is whether Prowler Miles will stay focused on protecting only his own universe or if he'll leave Earth 42 to help our Miles. Since our Miles is heading back to Earth 1610 to stop the Spot and save his father, it's still unclear if Prowler Miles will remain behind or decide to go with him. It would make a lot of sense if Prowler Miles joins our Miles on his mission. Not only would it allow the two of them to continue building their relationship, but it would also give Prowler Miles a much bigger role in the story. It's hard to imagine the movie spending all of its time on Earth 42 when there are so many different universes that still need to be explored. Having Prowler Miles travel alongside our Miles would let him stay involved in the main story while also creating a lot of exciting interactions. One of the moments with the most emotional potential would be Prowler Miles meeting Jefferson on Earth 1610. In Earth 42, Jefferson is gone, so seeing another version of his father alive could be an incredibly emotional experience for him. We already saw something similar when our Miles became emotional after seeing Uncle Aaron alive on Earth 42.
Oh, I missed you so much.
If that scene had such a strong emotional impact, then Prowler Miles meeting a living version of his father could be just as powerful, if not even more emotional. It would be really interesting to see him meet Gwen for the first time and see what kind of dynamic they have. There are so many directions the film can take with him, whether it's his emotional moments, his relationships with other characters, his partnership with our Miles, or the humor he brings to the story.